Today I'm going to show you how to fetch all the EC2 details. This is called EC2 inventory, which is used for the audit purpose. So whenever our management asking these details, we will fetch all these details and we can send it to our management. So using this inventory file, you can learn how to write the content into CSV files as well. So please go through this video, and these are the details like EC2 ID, instance type, key name. So what are the IP, private IP for the instance, and what is the public IP for the our EC2 mission. So we can get all the EC2 details across all these AWS regions. In AWS we have 16 regions. So I listed the 16 regions also. So one by one through across all these regions we will fetch all these details. So first let me create my client object. So before that, let me import my boto3 documentation and also import CSV file here. First is let me create EC2 client object, right? So let me open the boto3 official documentation. So through that we can fetch all these details. Boto3. So here I'm going to create the client object. So let it open this client object and see what are the methods are available and which method is used to fetch these details. Please take them, let it open. So already we imported this boto3 module and we created the client object for the EC2 resource also. So somewhere I have describe regions method which will return all these regions. So let it go for this describes region. So this is the method describe regions will fetch all these regions. Let it call this describe method from my client object. Already I created one client object. So let it call this method from my programming. So here describes, you can go through this documentation which will give you a clear idea. So let me call this method describe regions. Let it open my Sublime text editor. Let me call. So boto3 dot client. So here service name is EC2. Wait, let me create the client first. Using this client object, let me call this describe regions method, right? So first print this method and see what is the output for this method. So let me save and let me execute this. So this will return a dictionary which will have all these region details. Further, let me call this regions key here and call it from here. So let me save this and let me execute this again. So it will return a list of elements which have all these regions, right? So for this, let me separate each region. For this, I'm using for loop. Each region in EC2 describes collection. Let me print each region, right? So here it will return each object for the each region. I need only region name here. Let me copy this region name and pass it here. So let me save this again and execute it again. So this will return all the region names here. So when you go through this AWS, these are the available regions. Just I want to collect all these regions. For this I'm collecting all these regions. So I want to append these regions one by one into collect region. So we have append method. So list name dot append, which will append all these regions into this list. So instead of, let me delete this one. Let me print this list of values. Now we collected all these regions. So let me apply some more method which will fetch all the EC2 details region by region. So through that, let me loop for each region, right? Each region in collection of regions. So once we have the all regions, we have to create the client object or resource object for each region to fetch all these details. Here I'm going to create one resource object. Instead of creating client object, I'm creating EC2 resource object. So which will reduce our length of programming code, right? Here I'm going to create boto3 dot resource for EC2. Let me clear service name equal to EC2, and I want to region name for each region, right? So I'm looping for each region. For that I'm giving region name, and let me pass this region. So which will create the resource object for each and every region here. Once we have this resource object, let me go through this document again and see. So I'm going to open this resource object. So here we have different of methods which will give a, so here I have instances. Let me open this instances, and here I have instance.all method. Let me call this method from our resource object. So already we have created resource object here. Let me call this resource. So let me print this method and see what is the output. Let me save this and execute. So it will return a collection of EC2 instance object from all regions, right? But I don't want to print here. I want to loop it for each region. For each instance in each region. So let me print this region. Let me save this and let execute the output. What is the error here? I forgot to mention in keyword. Let me save and execute. So it has to execute for each and every region. That's the region taking time. Now it is going to fetch all the EC2 details, right? But let me use dir method, dir of each instance. So this dir used to fetch what are the operations are available for this particular object. Let me see and execute it. So this will fetch a operations on a particular object. So in this I need EC2 ID, instance type, key name, private IP and public IP. So let me separate to get some clear output. I need to print this one. Pprint import pprint. This will print the output in JSON format. Let me save it again and let me print this. See here now different types of operations using this object. So here you have all these field names. So we have image, instance ID, right? Instance type. So it will return the metadata for EC2 instant. So let me go through this. So I want serial number. For that reason I am using one looping element here. So I don't want to print this dir again. Let me pass these all these values. Let me cnd dot. Let me call this one. I need instance ID, right? So let me object dot instance ID again. Each instant in region dot object dot instant type. So each instant in each region dot. So what are the next field I want? Key name. This is the key name. I can call it from here. Okay. Instant object in every region dot private IP. I want to fetch private IP. Let me go through this. Somewhere I have private IP. This is the private IP. Let me call it from my Python code. Again, each instant in each region dot public IP. Okay, now I have all the fields. Let me increment the count variable. So I don't want to use pprint here. Just it is giving one error and match what it is. So now the program will fetch all the instant ID here and my instance type and key name and private IP and public IP. Now I want to write these details into a CSV file like this. Okay, so let me delete these details. I want to write all those details into a CSV file. I deleted all the field values from the CSV file. For this, let me open CSV, right? File object. My file object is F4. First, you need to open file. My file object is, you can open any, you can give any name. If the file is not existed, it will create the new file. I want to create EC2. I'm going to create new file here. EC2 inventory for new. The file name is .csv. I want to open it. Write mode. So new line. Empty. So if you are using 3.8 Python code, this will create a new line. So I am skipping the new line here. Once you open this file object for the CSV, let me create data object using CSV writer into F4. So this file, once you open the file object, we have to pass this object into the CSV writer method. Next, I want to write a heading for that. So data object write row. This will create a row, right? First, let me create the header for CSV file. I want to create the CSV number. Next, I want to create the instant ID. I am creating the header file, this CSV file. So instant type. You can give single quotes or double quotes here, no problem. Private address, private IP, public IP. So now we created the header file, right? Now I want to fetch all these details into, instead of printing here, I am writing into this CSV file. Data object write row. When you are passing the content into CSV file, you have to send it as a list of those values. So that's the reason I put all these values into a list, right? Once you open any file, you have to close that. For that, object close. So let me save this, execute it. It will write all the EC2 details into CSV file from all the regions. So wherever we have the EC2 instances, those details will fetch by this code and write into CSV file. So here I created a new CSV file, EC2 invent.new, right? Let it open this file. Once it is executing, yes, now it is finished. Let me go through my folder here. So EC2 inventory. Yeah, let me show this. This is the file I created now. Let me open this and we'll show you all the details. So now I fetched all the details. So these are the details I collected from all these regions. Let me show all my instances. Let me go to, this is the instance. This is the instance ID EF40 where I have in North Virginia, US East 1, right? Let me check this one. This is the ID. I collected it from North Virginia. So I have one more instance in Ohio, US East 2. Let me open this. I have one more instance in different region, that is Ohio. This instance ID, let me check from my CSV. So 32D C 32D, the same ID here. This is how you can collect all these EC2 inventory. Thank you. Thanks for watching. The same code will use it to fetch all the details from IAM resource as well as bucket S3 S3 resource also. So you can mention, just instead of EC2 you can mention here IAM. So the same code will fetch all these IAM details. So the same code will fetch all these resource of IAM also. Thank you. Thanks for watching.